Welcome to the hottest room at Bad Camp. My name is Anne Stanek, and I'm founder and CEO of Canopy Studios. We're in a bit of a pickle here because the recording device is down here, the slides are up there, the fan's down here. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm just going to kind of hang out here so we can still get audio on the recording, I guess. So if y'all wouldn't mind just having like a quarter turn, then we can kind of engage and chat about things. So yeah, very excited to have everybody here at Bad Camp. I have done this presentation before, so you might have seen it. And but I have a lot of questions about running a distributed Drupal shop. And before we get started, I just wanted a quick curiosity of how many people currently work remote. Yeah. How many people are looking to become remote? How many people are developers? Yeah, business owners? Okay. And top biggest three questions, concerns, challenges that you were curious about getting addressed or wanting to learn more about today?
Trying to figure out how to effectively manage teams with a 8+ hour time zone difference.
Okay, cool, good to know. Let's see if we can do that. We're mostly North American, but I have some tips and tricks.
Multilingual development.
Okay. Again, we're mostly English, but we do have some Spanish speakers. Yes?
Bringing remote people into the fold.
Okay. And you have a brick and mortars and remote team? Yeah?
So finding people, joining the team.
Finding people that want to work remote? Sounds like you might have had a few here.
When you're remote, everyone else is on premise.
Oh, living on a remote island. Yes, this happens to some folks. So, okay, Aaron, my trusty sidekick, is going to help with slide advancing. So, okay, well, let's get going then. So the first thing is I just want to put up a slide here. One of our staff members, Nikki Stevens, is promoting efforts in diversity. So this is a survey about diversity in open source. There's little cards that you can find somewhere. They look like this. I was only able to find one just before that, but there's the URL if you want to go and check it out. So I just want to promote her goodness. So, okay, so everybody has a why. Everybody has a why they work, why they get up in the morning, and as fun as it is to make money, we usually all work for other reasons as well. Mine is to build tree houses. That's my passion outside of Drupal and my passion outside of my day-to-day stuff is I like to go and have some land in Costa Rica to build tree houses. So that's why I work so hard. And this is why I bring this up first, is because if you're looking to develop a team, partially or remote, the why question is really important. Most people are choosing, and they don't necessarily know they don't have to have a traditional job that's 9 to 5 anymore. So let's talk a little bit about the rise of the digital workspace. This is not necessarily a trend. This is an inevitability. So if you are already having a brick and mortar, if you're looking for a different kind of job, this is a very real type of environment that we might be in. Okay, so this is about 30 million Americans work from home. This is just, as we know, in the United States from where I got this information from. Multiple different ways to call it, virtual, remote, distributed. This is becoming a very common aspect in the world. The reality is that people know that they don't need a job anymore. The old luxury was the corner office, the company car, the expense accounts. The new luxury is the fancy chef, the games room, the massage room, the arcades. All of these things are the new forms of luxury. In the end, they're not different. What the main thing they're driving is more hours at the office. So now, what the true luxury is the freedom of space and time. So the new work environment, it's definitely less about the 9 to 5 component, and it's more about results. So we're looking at the full-time elements of a job or somewhat of the past. No longer are people staying at jobs for 10, 15, 20 years. They're really coming in. If you have a worker that's with you for 5 years, that's pretty awesome. So we're also looking at, with 80%, there's a fact here that 80% of workers are satisfied with their situation, including 58 that are highly satisfied. If you talk to a lot of people that already work remote or they have been a consultant, a lot of them think they couldn't imagine ever going back to an office ever again. Those are your top top tier talent. They don't need a regular job. So if you're looking for great folks, it's time to looking at how you can make your workforce more distributed. I don't think we have video or sound, but this is, if you click to the next video, we'll see. Digital Nomad is a company that fosters remote working, and we'll see if this works. I like this video, because it really just like is very inspiring. It's like, oh yeah, this is like I work remote. We'll see if it plays. We have no sound.
My commute to work was an hour and a half of my day I would spend in my car.
I used to have to fly literally 1 million miles a year. Add that up, that's a lot of wasted time.
My commute to work was actually quite glorious. I was living in London and I would have to walk to catch the tube, and then I'd be squished on the tube like every single other person stuck in a rat race, and I had to read all on the way home, always in rush hour.
It's exciting. Every day is a new adventure. 10 years ago, I never thought I'd be able to do this, but I can actually be in the middle of the Arctic Circle in Greenland and doing our job.
I would consider myself a digital nomad. Somebody who has the freedom to work anywhere in the world, where we want, when we want, based on digital tools.
People need access to a computer and the internet to have an office, and not so much to real estate.
It's no longer about 9 to 5, it's about results. The more freedom you have, the more work you have.
I do believe that you can build your work and your business around your lifestyle. I basically live out of my suitcase, travel the world, and run my online business with the help of a virtual team around the world.
I've been traveling the world for over 10 years straight, and everything I own comes with me.
The Eco-Roamer is a huge honking truck that we live in the back of, and it's also the dual headquarters of my company.
I left my traditional job when I had my son. Instead of going back, I wrote my goals and decided what my work-life balance would look like and what was best for me and my family, and that's how I came up with being a digital nomad and being able to work for myself.
It gives me the opportunity to work when I like to work, and I can go surfing when I like to surf.
And it shouldn't be that only the most innovative companies embrace these models.
I think that 10 years from now, it absolutely will be the norm. There are so many reasons why this is a great way to work.
Well, they make it look very glamorous. Don't they? Wouldn't it be great? Now, there are some realities of some constraints of doing that. A, you need great internet connection if you're going to do pulse trips like that. So, having a good workspace is also really important. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about some of the company motivations, why organizations are keen to move into a distributed force. So we are looking at elements where there is the reality is that you have reduced your overhead costs. You don't necessarily have an office. You don't have a bunch of additional equipment, utilities, commuting costs. You've got, are you able to get out of there? Can you scale to the next one? Let's go to the next slide. Okay. I think you just have to get out of the frame or something. Yeah, click on that. Or click on the little arrow at the bottom there. Way left. Keep going. Yeah, just next one. There we go. Okay, here we go. So, we've got richer talent pool because you're not geographically bound by any location. You have the opportunity, there's viable places to scale. You do and have more happy and productive teams, and what's most important is freedom. So that's the number one reason why I started my company, is because I did not want to go to work anymore. Now, do I work a lot? Yeah, I work a lot, but do I love what I do? You betcha. So this all sounds rosy and happy and sunshine, but there are some common myths that are out there when it comes to working distributed. So let's talk about those and how we're going to overcome them. And the next slide.
Next one.
Yes, please. Okay, so a lot of people think that if I don't see my employees, they're not working. And this is the number one thing to running a distributed team is you have to trust. And I say that with like a capital T, like it absolutely is so important. And it's important not only that you trust your staff, but as an employee, you are contributing trust. It's important that every day that as a remote employee, you show up and you contribute. People wonder like, will people know what is going on or what they do when they're in the office? And people think that because they're distributed, and if they have a whole office team that is in office and they're remote, that they should just know what it's like, right? So there's some common myths that you definitely have to overcome to help increase communication when it comes to remote teams. Also, a lot of people think that technology will actually solve your problems by having Zoom or Slack, and that's actually not true. There's a lot of other things that are really important when building a remote team. Yes, it's really important to have great tools, but it's really important in how we use them. And we'll talk a little bit more about this. And then, of course, that even though you have distributed teams, it's really important to meet face-to-face. That creates that social connection with each other that helps each other as employees bond and help each other through tough times, or just to have more of them. We're just a bunch of floating heads. So let's talk a little bit about this. If you want to go to the next slide. So we're looking at some common issues that we face when we're running a remote company is finding the right people. It's very easy, especially in technology, for people to oversell their skill set, and then you hire someone and you don't necessarily have a lot of hands-on or face-to-face time with them. So finding the right people is really important. So we're going to talk a little bit in a moment about what to look for. We're going to talk a little bit about some of those communications issues, that the tool won't actually solve the job, it's how you're using the tool. Another common issue we face with a lot of our team members is them feeling isolated and feeling alone. So how to overcome that when you are naturally distributed and you can't necessarily fly everybody together when those moments come together. Also finding ways to foster team bonding. Burnout is a huge issue when running distributed teams. People work and live from home. So we've got some good tips and tricks that if you're working from home or you have team members that are working from home is how to avoid burnout. And the number one thing that I find that's really interesting in running is actually selling clients on the distributed concept. You know, they think, oh, are you really a business if you don't have an office? Or, you know, how do you keep your team members on track? So how to present that to your clients to create buy-in and help them see why it's better value for their bottom line. Okay, so we talked about some of the common myths. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the reality of all this and how to make it all work. So, what to expect when going remote. First, it is going to be more work than co-located employees if you are a manager. You need to check in more often with your team members. You need to actually spend more time listening and less time dictating. It's really important. There's also a learning curve. If you're hiring people that have never worked remote before, be careful. They don't know how to do it. They actually have no clue how to do it, even if they work at home. What we find is the biggest thing is there's a learning curve on how to shut it off, how to create healthy boundaries between work and home, how to keep your kids away from you when they come home at 3:30. Some of the benefits of working from home we do provide in our work is that they do have the lifestyle flexibility, so they can go pick up their kids from 3 and spend that quality time with them before they go to ballet or soccer or however their program works in life. But it's important for the employee to actually create healthy boundaries with work, to say, hey, I'm actually going to be dark at 3:30, and then I'll come back online at 5 p.m. to do whatever. And if you create a clear structure for people to actually enjoy some of that lifestyle flexibility, you don't get frustrated as an employer looking for your staff, and you're not paying your staff looking for them when legitimately they're just at gymnastics with their kids. So the learning curve of helping people understand that. Another thing is that the process in which you do things may have to shift. So if you were a totally distributed company, it's actually a lot easier to be totally distributed. If you're dealing with a brick and mortar situation and you have either one person who's totally remote or you have a remote team, it's important that you all share the same set of common processes. So for example, Four Kitchens is a really awesome company that battled with having a distributed team and an in-house team. And one of the things that they did that I thought was really smart is that when they had a conference call, it wasn't all the Four Kitchens folks sitting in a conference call talking with people on chat or video. Everybody got on video. Everybody sat at their desks with their headset on, and it was kind of a muting game, because you can hear the echo of everybody else, right? It's the kind of, but they got everybody actually to join on video. They've since gone totally virtual because they found that even their in-office team wanted to work from home. But it does require a shift in processing culture. And it may also mean that you have to look at how you're hiring people. One of our key questions is, have you worked remote before, and what are your top 3 tips for staying sane? And a lot of those things are creating, having meditation breaks. When you're in an office environment, you're naturally interrupted by your coworkers. Someone's going to get coffee. Oh, you want a coffee? Yeah, I'll come. And you have this natural sense of diversion where your mind actually takes your mind off the problem and allows it to kind of work in its subconscious while you're chatting with your friends. When you're at home and you're all by yourself and you're working solid, those diversions are very few and far between. So actually setting like a small timer or blocking out time in your calendar so you kind of step up and step out of your own way. Going and weeding your garden is actually a really effective way of calming the mind in the middle of a work day, and then coming back. It's the same as like having a water cooler chat with your coworkers. So let's talk a little bit more about, again, these pillars of success. And organization is absolutely fundamental. When you have a remote team, they need to be able to come on when they're onboarded and have a good sense of what to do, what to expect in the daily life. There's also a sense of accountability. So we use Slack. I think almost everybody here probably uses Slack or chat. And we have a channel called In and Out. And In and Out is kind of a virtual time clock where people come in, and it's not meant to have accountability like, you have to be online at a certain time. But we have an element of people say good morning. I'm at work. Hi, I'm here. A little emoji, cup of coffee. And then if you need to step out for half an hour in the middle of the day, or you're going to take an extended lunch with your family, then having a little option to just say, hey, I'm going to be out for the next hour. I'll be back then. And it allows people to have their very smart, dynamic conversation without it being intrusive and interruptive to the other people. People can set notifications. And then also people say goodbye. And that creates a sense of bonding as well. So you kind of it's kind of funny when someone accidentally presses the coffin emoji instead of the coffee emoji, and that pops up first thing in the morning. We're like, oh, are you okay today? So you can have some of these organic experiences by still creating accountability. Another great way is that we encourage online times where the team actually has to be all online between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific. We are mostly North American company, so we're covering only our time zones. If you have people that live outside of the other time zones, and we do, we have one gentleman who lives in Turkey, we try to make it equally uncomfortable for all parties. So, sometimes, and it even happens with our East Coast, West Coast, and we all have, a lot of our crew have small kids. So, 7 a.m. to 8:30 in the morning is fairly hectic for anybody that has small children, right? It's really hard to pay attention to much like that, especially if they're getting out to school. But sometimes, the West Coast people need to jump online for a conference call with the Central or East Coast people at 7:30 their time, because that's the only time the manager has available. And then sometimes the Central people need to jump online at their 5:30 right in the middle of their dinner rush, because it's the only time they can talk with the Pacific people. So we try to make it equally uncomfortable for all parties. So it's not just one person who's bearing the burden of always interrupting their life. Because the reality of working remote is you're going to have the lifestyle flexibility, but with that comes some flexibility of when you might do your work. The personal interaction component of a pillar of success is something that's tricky to do in virtual, but there's lots of really great ways. For example, we have a Slack channel called Music, and it's just to post if you went to a concert or if you have this really great Spotify track, and it's, you can set your notifications so you can just go and check in, you can hear what other people are doing for music. And we also have a Canopy Novel. And a Canopy Novel is a Slack channel where people just choose to, when they have time, and it's not always very busy, but someone will come on and write a paragraph of the novel. Now we have a lot of theater enthusiasts, a lot of musicians that work with us because we give that lifestyle flexibility so they can do these great things that they really love to do. So we have this wacky Canopy Novel. One day I'm going to print it and it's not going to make any sense at all, but it gives people to have an opportunity to engage in a way that's not intrusive to their workspace, but they can still log in and check in. We also really encourage video-first meetings. It's not mandatory, but we ask everybody to be comfortable and to be ready for video. Like, get ready, get dressed, go to work, just like you would. The next thing is you're going to commute from your bedroom to the bathroom, to the kitchen, to your office. So being able and being video ready is really important. A, it won't make you feel crazy if you're sitting in your pajamas at 2 p.m. when the postman shows up. Trust me, you feel a little crazy when that happens. And so when you're getting ready and you're having those video first engagements, it gives you an opportunity to connect eye to eye and just actually see what's going on. There's always the option to not turn on video if you're feeling like, this is too much for me, my hair's a mess, I did not take that shower I was meaning to take during my break. But it's that personal interaction that gives us an opportunity to connect. And the trust is a big one. We encourage everybody, they have to commit code daily, right? If we see someone who's not actually committing code, and obviously it's more than daily, we prefer to actually have regular commits, but we know that their job is to commit daily. If we have a daily stand-up at 10 a.m. for everybody, it used to be a dev scrum, where it was more traditional, like show up when you blocked on what you're doing yesterday. And that's when we were a lot smaller. Now it's a cultural check-in. It's a 15-minute, hey yo, how's it going? You know, everybody just shows up for 15 minutes just to say hi. Hi, good morning. You know, sometimes people have their kids say hi, or they've got a sick dog, and how's your dog doing? And it's just that 15 minutes where they just get to say hi. And that's an incredible and powerful way to connect remote team members. I highly recommend if you're half remote and half distributed, or half remote, half in office, you still do that. But you do it in a distributed manner where you're all sitting at your desk. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Oops. Okay. This is so important that people ask me, like, well, how do you monitor them? How do you do this? You know, we have different ways that we have goals and metrics for the team members to hit, whether it's like how much time you want to spend on, you know, elements, but really there's nobody watching over your shoulder. I don't know if they're watching, you know, YouTube videos all day or not. And honestly, I don't care if they are, if they're happy and productive. And if they find that they're most productive in the evenings, I'm okay with people working in the evenings as long as they've gotten to a place where they have all the information from their team members before they decide to work at night. And it's really important because when other people work at night in a remote team, if you're not ready and have all the tools and information at hand, there might not be anybody to answer your questions. And then you're blocked. And then you're not productive and you're not actually contributing trust. But if you say, hey team, I'm going to do something really rad. I'm going to go check out this old vinyl record store that's closing, and they've got all these records, and if I get there at noon, I get first dibs. Well, yeah, we want you to go and be there and get those rad vinyl records, but we still need you to work. That's the reality. This is the job. It's a commerce transaction. We pay you, you work. Right? That happens. So having that trust to say, okay, I'm going to go offline, here's my tickets, these are my questions, get it all unlocked, and then they have the freedom and the flexibility to do that. But it's up to the developer, or the project manager, or anybody to actually check in and be proactive to generate that trust in their team. Okay, next one. So I'm such a big advocate of building trust, I want to talk about this in a little bit more detail. So this is kind of a wall of text. We've talked about some of these things already. So these are behaviors that build trust. Keeping people informed. Say what you are going to do and then do it. Always assume positive intent. So for example, if someone is dark and you can't find them, don't assume they're slacking off. Assume that potentially they had an emergency and they didn't have time to tell you for whatever reason, right? We always ask people to be over-communicative. Like everybody remembers like their first boyfriend or girlfriend and they had when they were younger, and they like always talked on the phone, like to the point where they would like sleep with the phone on, and like, are you still there? Like we encourage that much somewhat awkward communication with each other, where we're really checking in all the time and letting each other know what we're doing. I mean, obviously we don't tell each other when we're going to take a potty break necessarily, that's kind of like TMI, but the general sense is if you're going to step away from your computer and not pay attention for more than 50 minutes just to let us know. Group chats are a great way. Definitely one of the key things is the tools, again, comes back to setting your notifications. As someone who works in a remote team, we will get hundreds of Slack messages a day. So it's super important to help your team and train your team on how to manage their notifications. Especially if they're high-producing humans, they need focus time. Another thing is to ask for clarification, confirm, and translate back. A lot of people will say, yeah, totally, I got it. And that we want to make sure, do they actually understand? Because we don't really always have those social opportunities to go, I didn't really understand over lunch. I didn't really understand what our boss is saying, so can you talk to me a little bit more? So we ask everybody to like really almost like, is this what you're looking for this? And you'd like me to do this by this time, is that correct? And then the manager says bingo, and then that person can go and do their thing. Another part about working remote that builds trust is actually getting to know each other. We have an opportunity, we have 2 meetings a month that is a company-wide meeting. One meeting is for company, all hands, who's new, what's happening, conferences, company announcements, dates, whatever. And the second one is actually, I was going to say it's a party, but it's way more casual. And so some of the fun things that we've been doing is that we've been doing games. And games not just to play games, but games to get to know each other. So, for example, we had everybody take a picture of something on their desk. And then they sent it to the one girl at the office who managed all of this chaos and put it in a Google Doc and did a multiple choice question. And for an hour we went through and said, okay, whose Buddha is this? Is it Nikki? Is it Kat's? Is it Jason's? And everyone's like, oh yeah, that's totally Erin. She meditates, and like, you're trying to like figure out who these people are by the knickknacks on their desk. And as smart people that you work with, all your engineers, they love to solve problems. This is very mundane. It's actually very like the brain goes, oh, this is fun. This is not stressful. And by the end of the hour, people are laughing. People are like, that was yours. And they're really like get to know each other on a deeper level. So those are really great opportunities to connect and have fun and still get to know each other in a productive way. Another thing is to really, again, we call it structured information, which means creating checklists, packaging information in a way that's really digestible and has everything together. So they don't have to look in the Excel document, or they don't have to look in the Google Drive and the Dropbox. It's one thing, all the links, all the things. And really, when you're in a remote environment, there's going to be a higher volume of chats and emails, so really have concise, structure, to the point. We don't encourage thank you emails. We know you appreciate our work. So a one-liner thanks, well, what's the point? It's just another email we have to sift through. So, just really great emails is a great way. Again, it's not the tool that does the work, it's how we use the tool. Okay, let's go on to the next one. These are the ones that get in the way. Assuming negative intent. Wall-to-wall meetings with no time to act. This is especially important for your managers who are working remote, because a lot of people schedule each other's time, and I think Kat can speak to this. This is a challenge that we'll get faced with, is that people will literally be like, oh, you have a free hour. Well, I'm sorry, what about the bathroom break they need, the leg stretch? So as people that work remotely, we encourage you to block in thinking time, break time, because people will naturally try to fill your calendar, especially if you're a manager. Information overload. It's really important, especially if you've got someone who's got a lot of things going on, to help decipher what's most important and put that in a structured format that they can go, okay, A, check, B, check. One of the challenges that we had being a remote team was that the project managers were reaching out every time they had a question. And they were pinging people on Slack and sending that email, and they were expecting immediate responses. So we actually structured time for project manager questions. That only and when it's burning. If the client's on fire and calling you and screaming, you're going to pick up the phone and you're going to call the developer or the designer. The designer knows when they get a call from the project manager, it's not bad, but it's urgent, right? And so they're going to pick up the phone and go out of their workspace. If not, the intention is to batch questions to once a day. Most things can wait. And project managers are mostly just trying to be efficient and get their checklist done, but it's often very inefficient. And when you're working from home, what we fear most is that they feel so inundated with questions and emails that they just sit there and work on questions and emails, and then they feel obligated to get the work done, so they're working in their evenings and weekends to get their billable time number. That is a #1 thing that will lead to burnout. Your family will hate you, Your family will not like the work. The family will be very upset that this remote job that was going to give you all this lifestyle flexibility is ruining your quality of life. So as managers, you really have to help from avoiding pinging your team all day long. It's very tricky. Very tricky. Another thing is that, again, call when an email would be better, and email when a call would be better. We are so accustomed to text and emails, it's something that we forget is the phone. And the phone is really powerful. We love Zoom because it gives a video aspect to it. It's really affordable. It's a great video conferencing tool. It's way better than Hangouts. It's way better than Skype. And it really allows us to have a really strong connection. But sometimes, just a phone call goes a long way. How are you doing? I noticed you're real quiet today. It doesn't always have to be structured project stuff. Often people that are working remote, you won't know when they're upset until they flip the table. They want to do the best job they can do. But sometimes, because they won't always bring things up, to have that organic end-of-day phone call or just a random check-in call can mean a lot, especially if your spidey sense is going off as a manager. Really quiet. He's usually really fighty on Slack. He's being a bit cynical today. So, that's a good way to kind of like lean in and find out how your team's doing. Okay, let's go on. So, how to collaborate remotely. This very much looks like our team meetings. So, it's not our team meetings, I really should have changed that. Let's do that. So let's go on. So we're going to rethink meetings. We've already talked about this, fine. Again, we want to have short, concise meetings, and sometimes you may need to meet with your team member more frequently, but for shorter periods of time. And we ask not what did you do today, but show me what you did today. And that's very powerful because people can, especially if they're slacking and they're being distracted, they may explain what they're going to be doing. And if you can hold them again, it's accountability on both sides to say, show me your work, show me your thinking pattern. People are feeling like, oh, I just got it out locally and I'll push it whenever. No, we don't care. We have no judgment. We're here to support. If something's messed up, let us help you. You're not alone. And that's a really big thing. It's actually getting people to really, the work is really what matters. We talked about the collaboration tactic, thou shall overlap. And this means really having those time periods where you're in the same time frame where everybody they're going to be online. So we say 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. Pacific. And that gives our East Coasters a real quiet morning. It allows our West Coasters to know that they can just not be lonely. Their phone may be very noisy as they get up, but they literally can just be online at 10. What I'm going to do, I'll be there. The virtual water cooler, we've talked about some of those things today. Different Slack channels, different ways to communicate. Governance, having a communications charter. Saying here's how we'd actually like you to structure those concise emails. Here is what is the most effective way to use Slack and set your notifications. And helping people understand. To some people, if I go onto a coworker's computer and look at their notifications, it's completely different from one computer to the next. Some developers in our team don't read emails because they know everything's in teamwork. Because that's where we put everything. Everything goes in teamwork. Nothing's supposed to live in email. So some of them say, oh, I don't even have to look at email because everything's going to be in teamwork. So if you're kind of have those governance to say, if you want to just check teamwork for all your tickets or check Jira, we need you to check emails 3 times a day. When you wake up, at lunch, and before you log out. Because it's okay if they feel like email is so annoying, as it often is for a lot of smart people. They're like, oh, there's so much noise. And if you're on teamwork, it spits off how many notifications? So, it's finding that governance and that space where it's creating collaboration and not just a bunch of noise. And seeing is believing. If we have opportunities to come together, it's sometimes surprising how tall team members are. You're like, whoa, you're so tall, you're so tiny. Because all you know is the context of a floating head, right? And that's really fun to see your friends. And all of a sudden you get to share stories because the functioning, co-working remote is very functional. You're working here, you're getting your information. We try to be as efficient as possible to promote life-work balance, but we miss some of those in-between moments. So those seeing moments is definitely something that I've learned that when we go to a big conference like this, it's really skillful for them to come out a day early because they get so excited, they drink, and they get so excited, and keep drinking, and they get so excited that they don't go to bed because they're so excited, and then maybe they're not so excited the next day when we're like, sessions, 9 a.m., let's go. So having an opportunity to create a team activity before or after DrupalCon or BadCamp or regional events is really skillful. So we've got groups of people. We have people in Austin, a little pod. We have people in Vancouver Island, a little pod. So we try to promote them getting together just for having happy hour or going for tea or someone's having something that's going on. We have Slack channels per region. So in the Vancouver region, if there's something happening that's specific to Vancouver, they can share news and events and their more regional information. Okay. So I like this because when you're thinking about as an employee, these are your 5 tactics. Use video chat. Make sure, don't be afraid to pick up the phone. Stop those inline email conversations. If you're going back and forth more than once or twice, stop, pick up the phone. 4, make your internet faster. Whatever you can do at home to get the best internet, do it. Do it. If you're going to be working remote, get a hotspot. Make sure it is reliable. And exercise. I broke my ankle because I sat at my desk for too many hours in a row and then got all excited and fell over and broke my ankle. Exercise is the key to success. Whether that's morning yoga, whether that's, a chin-up bar in your room, whether it's walking your dogs, it is going to keep you sane as a remote worker. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about hiring folks. So the ideal candidate is that talented people can choose what and whom to work with. Remote people are inherently self-motivated and they have a passion for creating outstanding work. Use the tools you're going to use in your work environment in your interview. Ask questions about how they create balance from work and home. So the next one. So remote rockstars, again, I say this trust over and over again. And it's not just me blindly trusting my employees as they contribute trust. We have a very strict rule at Canopy. If within the first 2 weeks that you are hired, you go dark without letting your managers know, it's immediate dismissal. You are fired on the spot. It is absolutely okay that something happens in your life. Things will happen. Dogs will get sick. Grandmas will, things happen. But it's how we communicate it. How we check in. It doesn't need to be a group email. It can just be your manager. I'm really up shit creek with the life right now. I did something I don't even know. I gotta go find flowers. I don't even care what it is. It's just a matter of communicating, and that trust is so foundational in terms of that. And again, say what you're going to do and do it. Do not overcommit and underdeliver, but commit and deliver. That is so important. Our word is what we live and die by. So and when I say communicate, it's like, if you realize you're not going to hit a deadline, let your team know. If you have free time, let your team know. If you want to learn about some nuanced framework, let your team know. When you see a team member falling behind or having fear that something's going to happen, let them know. If you have that feeling that something might be crazy, let them know. If a client is talking evil to some other developer, let them know. Because we can't always see that as managers. And there's ways that we use in our communication charter to surface information in a skillful, helpful, and kind way. And that, again, comes back to some of that governance. So if you're having a situation where you're in half your team's remote and half of your team's in office, have them follow that same process. Have them follow an over-communicative lifestyle in terms of that, and you'll get great results and build trust. So, again, do one thing and do it really well. We find that a lot of the times that people with remotes, they want to help out wherever they can, and sometimes when you have a more senior team, they're willing to plug the holes that are missing, but instead what they need to do is communicate when they're not having their needs met. So if they're saying, my project manager is having a really hard time communicating this challenge to the client, and I feel it's going to jeopardize stuff. Instead of trying to go and solve the problem, it's how to escalate it. Okay. let's keep going here. So now remote is not for everyone. Four Kitchens is currently hiring a senior developer to work in support, so if you are looking for a remote job to work in support, please go and apply. We're all very good friends in the community, and it's because that guy just couldn't work remote. He moved with his partner to Boston, and he has no friends. And it's really hard to make friends when you work at home by yourself. It's not impossible, but it's not his style. So we have to remember that it's not for everyone. And if you are transitioning from an in-office environment to a remote environment, you may lose folks. You may gain a bunch of great folks, but the reality is it's really hard. Some people miss being around people. Some people really like the ping pong and the lunch together. And there's a definite real reality is that some people lose that distinction between work and the rest of your life. Some people also find the fridge too much. And they get really uncomfortable because, that's what that's like they can't do it. Now there's ways to overcome that. We provide the option to be in a co-working space, right? Even if it's like you can go there 2 or 3 days a week, it's a place where you can go and you can meet all the other people that are building fantastic things and connect with them and make new connections. But it is a real reality is that some people like to go to a job and clock in and clock out. I strongly encourage a separate work environment from your home. Okay, let's go ahead. Challenges, I think we talked about a lot of these, so prioritization. If you manage more people than in one state, I highly recommend you get HR help, especially if you have places like that are somewhat easier to deal with than California. In terms of you're hiring a Californian employee, they change their employment law like twice a year. So healthcare and benefits and taxes and stuff like that is very challenging if you don't have the right help. Okay, let's keep going. So one of the things is that we really want to create this culture of awesomeness. Okay? We want to have fun. We chose to work remote because we're choosing our life and having work to be a part of our life, not choosing work to be our life. And it's such a fine line. So let's talk about that then. It means working with your team to establish goals, to pair up awesome employees. We try to have a new person paired program. So if we have somebody new that's coming in that's maybe a front-end developer, we may pair them with somebody that's working in support and back-end. It doesn't have to be the same skill set, but it's that person they can turn to and be like, so how are we supposed to write these short emails? And what am I supposed to do? And they can ask someone that's a peer without having, and it's somewhat formalized so they know who to turn to and it creates some like micro bonds between people in the organization. Expect excellence, not perfection. And I think that even goes when you're working in the office. And encourage your life-work balance. When people take vacation, honor their vacations. Plan for it. Do not hang them during their vacations. Their work is their life. And it becomes really challenging when they take a vacation and you ping them the whole time. They don't ever get a break. We also like to create something at Candy Studios called Freedom Friday. And essentially all that means is no meetings, no deliverables, no deadlines. Okay? It's working. We're not going to not work. But we have that lifestyle flexibility. When you create a company and you want to go remote, remember the #1 reason people are doing this is for the freedom. So if you can actually structure freedom into what that looks like and have it be a healthy balance. So legit, if somebody doesn't want to work a Friday and take a 3-day long weekend, and they want to choose to do 10, 12 hours a day for 4 days, then let's promote and structure that. And that means that we have a consistent company culture where we don't have deliverables on Fridays. It makes kind of Tuesday through Thursday a little insane sometimes, but everybody knows the trade-off that if we can create an opportunity for people to have and enjoy that lifestyle flexibility, that managers actually get to have some peace and quiet to focus, developers get peace and time to focus, creative folks can actually explore and dive deep, and they know they don't have to always check on things as much, right? So that balance of figuring out what that is, it may mean that there are some meetings afternoon, right? And that you still have structured meetings every morning. It may mean that you have a flex day once a month where people can work on stuff. It may mean a community day. There's different ways to structure that. But definitely creating awesome and creating a sense of freedom and autonomy within the role is really important. Okay, communicate more. We'll kind of just breeze through this. We talked about it, so we'll go to the next slide. These are all going to be posted on this, but this is some of the pros and cons that we talked to about email versus phone versus chat and when to use it. So this will all be posted online. So we'll just skip over that. And again, everybody always asks me, well, what tools do you use? What's most effective for your team? And I say, honestly, it's usually more up to how we use the tools. These are some of the tools that we use. We're big fans of Zoom. That's absolutely fantastic. We're big fans of Slack. We think it's really important to also have a central place for file sharing, editing, and project management. Not gonna lie, it's always been a challenge to figure out how to centralize information in a way that's meaningful for support versus development, and like, what does that look like? So definitely there's some governance around this. But there's lots of great tools out there. Okay, and another one is make sure you see people. And that includes your family and your friends and your yoga peoples and whoever else. Go out to your local Drupal meetup and go and see, what's happening at different front-ends. There's different meetups in your neighborhood. Things that, like I said earlier, we encourage meetups in the same city. Sometimes it's really fun that all of a sudden all the Austin people are in one spot and it was spontaneous because someone had to run out and get this and this, and all of a sudden we get this like selfie with all three of them and they're like, hey, from Austin! If it is in a way that you have the opportunity to bring your team all together for networking events like that, or I would encourage. Okay, so create work-life boundaries. So, workaholics be warned. This is the number one thing is I have a problem doing is I get so excited when I wake up, I just want to check my email, right? And all of a sudden it's like 7 o'clock, I'll just take a shower at 8. Oh shoot, okay, I'm gonna have breakfast. I'll look, I have a time block at 11. Okay, yeah. All of a sudden it's 2 p.m., I haven't eaten breakfast, I haven't showered, and the postman arrives. And I'm like, hi! Yeah, okay, this is awkward. So finding a way to always make sure you have a morning routine is really helpful. Having specific work environments. I live in San Francisco. I don't have a lot of space in my house, and I work from home. So I have like working space, and then I actually have another working space in my kitchen, and I have a couple of awesome coffee shops that are within walking distance if I just need some human interaction. So finding working spaces is really important, and again, having great internet. And give yourself the benefit of downtime. As remote workers, and as workers in general, we don't really turn off our brains. Most of the time when we clock out at 5, it's not like we're going to stop thinking about the problems. If anything, the subconscious starts kicking in and starts doing the work that we needed to do. So really honor that downtime. When you block an hour for lunch, take an hour for lunch. Go for a walk. Watch your favorite program. You don't even have to get up and do exercise, well, it's encouraged. So really, really, really get involved in getting active. Okay. Yeah. Watch the snacks. Very tempting. Very tempting. And also make sure that you have your workstation set up. Make sure if there's a lot of really hacker ways you can build a standing desk, and you can do it really cheap and really magically. Chris Shattuck, who has built a module, built his own walking desk where he has like a treadmill that he actually flipped.
That's fabulous.
Yes, he was one of my inspirations on I was like, you code? He's like, actually I walk really slow. I walk really slow. I'm not like power walking, but it gives him he actually feels tired at the end of his day. So finding some of those things, whether it's the right mouse, whether it's training yourself to use the mouse with your left hand or learning more keyboard shortcuts, you're not going to have as much time in between environments to draw. Okay, and I think we're on the last one here. The last section here is just about avoiding burnout. So this is something I think we face with working with technologists, no matter which way we slice it, whether it's in office or remote. And the biggest thing is as managers, help set realistic timelines, help set realistic boundaries, and actually give them time to work. Don't cry wolf. Remember, if you say everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. So as a manager working with remote teams, if something's really urgent, it better be urgent. Because if not, it can wait to the next day. Because otherwise, they'll start ignoring your urgent questions. Okay, and let's go to the next one, which is flexible work schedule. So again, we talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but is there maybe night owls and early birds? As long as the work is consistently delivered, who cares? What we care about is if they're always working nights because they can't get their stuff together during the day, we've got problems, right? But if they're more productive at night because it's quiet, they don't have to show up to work at 10. You know, they'll show up to work at 10, check in, get everything unlocked, do maybe 4 hours of work. Maybe they go to keto then and deal with their kids, and then they spend the 4 hours from 8 to midnight. That's when they're most productive. And as long as they're not pinging every other person for information, it's totally fine. Okay. So I think we're just about done here. The last little bit here is just talking a little bit about client services. Most people probably in a service-based business, or a majority work with clients, or at least they probably have a boss. I mean, the reality is that we try to be really upfront with all of our clients. We don't pretend that we have an office. We actually say, we're a totally distributed team, and I help them understand why. I help them get on video chats early. Even in the sales funnel, I say, okay guys, we do everything on Zoom. Download the app, we're gonna have our meeting on Zoom. And let them see how easy it is to see everybody. Provide references to say, we'd love for you to speak to some of our other clients that were nervous about us working remote and why they absolutely love it. Those kinds of things to be proactive. Be very available. Clients, no matter what kinds of clients, if they have trust issues, being kind of over communicative and helping them through that is just to be available. If they call, return their phone call. If you can't return their phone call, send them a quick email and say, I'm going to get back to you tomorrow. And get the client involved. Okay, so we're pretty much at the end here. We have one more slide, but it's just about educating the client, which is again, living in the Bay Area, it is very challenging to hire a full team of 30 and actually be able, for me, it was very challenging as someone when I thought that, and also, I don't want to go to an office. So we've had the opportunity to work from talent from all across the country. Time zone challenges is something that if we have clients that are on the East Coast, we pair them with an East Coast team. If we have clients on the West Coast, we pair them with a West Coast team. And that helps facilitate that life-work balance, because the reality is an excited client in New York is going to email them at 7 a.m. East Coast because they're excited about what they're doing. Well, that's really early for our West Coasters. But on the East Coast, they can then pick it up at 9 a.m. and they can start working on it. We also have a big philosophy of we come to you. If we have a client in a region, we will fly our team members to you so we can all connect. But fortunately, we have a little bit of a hub of clients in the San Francisco Bay Area, so we bring a bunch of people here and we do like a client tour and we go and see everybody. But we may have clients in New York, and we'll bring the team members out there. The very beginning is when the organizational opportunities of having a remote team is financials, because we don't have an office. And I have to kind of call my own BS on that, because I would rather spend money on flights and people going to places rather than an office to create those cultural and human connections. So it doesn't necessarily save you money, you just spend it on flights instead of offices. Lower all kind of means more focus on the money. Okay. We have about 5, I think I'm a little long, so we have about 4 minutes for questions.
How many people are on?
We have about 30. Yeah.
That's for finding remote work?
There's a site called We Work Remotely, and there's another site called Flex Jobs. I highly recommend your network of people to create a job posting and talk about some of these things, and then start telling your friends. Just like everybody here that Perkins is hiring. So there's opportunities all around. Coming to these events are a great opportunity.
What is your vacation policy, and what is your opinion on unlimited vacation policy by the city?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of unlimited vacation. It's weird as a business owner, and it's weird as an employee. I know people that never take vacation and get totally screwed, and people that take tons of vacation and it kind of screws everybody else over. So we have a structured vacation policy. We have X number of weeks off, and we do all the holidays. We have to honor the Canadian holidays, the American holidays, the religious holidays. We have a lot of holidays. And again, if you can build in flex time into the structure, we really think that if someone wants to work 4 10-hour days, do like 4 10s and 1 day off, as long as the project work's being done, and they're not feeling burnout from working 10-hour shifts, so be it.
You mentioned getting small groups together. I think you said Austin was your example, and getting a little bonding. How do you avoid alienating those people who are maybe very remote and have no one near? I have people in multiple states that get together. So how do you avoid alienating them?
That's a great question. We have a very lovely human who lives in Turkey. Okay, he's come from a friend of a friend, and he's a good person in terms of like he's got a lot of follows our time zones. So I mean, I feel fairly crazy working nights all the time on a computer. They have like micro, like just ad hoc. This number one is the 10 a.m. daily check-in where they all show up on video and everybody's there. But also having like little mini meetings where it's a productive meeting, but it's also an opportunity to connect. So support has their own little micro meeting where they connect. We do find like the all hands meeting is really important. And we do have the very big reality is that we have people like alone in the city that they don't have anybody else around. And those are the people that if I see them online all the time, I call them up and I say, hey, are you doing okay over there? And they have sometimes they need to like a beer, and that's what they like to do with their spare time. So encouraging outside connections is really important.
How do people communicate what their typical schedule is like if they work 4 days or 5 days?
Yeah, we use Google Calendar. We live by it, and we actually go ahead and every person needs to block in with their, like for example, with managers, we actually block in quiet time or kid time, which is just like, if you're on the East Coast from 3 p.m. Pacific on, you're dark. So no scheduled meetings, nothing. Most of our team members actually work 5 days a week because they enjoy coming to work on Friday because it's actually like, oh, we get to just work on stuff we want to work on. We're not getting invited by clients. So we don't necessarily have the culture where people are really structuring time to leave. They're more like, oh, I'm going to go on holiday and I'm going to take a couple of extra days. I'm going to make them up. And that's just communicating with their manager. Again, it's not like over-communicative activities where it's kind of like, okay, yeah, we know you're going on vacation. Thanks for the heads up. Thanks for the reminder. Thanks for the calendar reminder. And it's just like everybody gets the game. We have a calendar for holidays too, where you can actually see when people are in or out or dark. And we have a Slack bot that goes and updates that in and out channel when something's out.
So if I understand correctly, you know when you can catch someone by just doing it within that 10 to 3 p.m. time? Is that how
Yes. You're always need to be on between 10 and 3 p.m. guaranteed, absolutely guaranteed. And then if you're not on that time, then you just communicate it in a way that everybody can go and find it. So if you're like, hey, where's Jonas? Jonas. They can go in and out. Oh, yeah, Jonas is out for coffee with his mom because he's in town. She's in town. Or, oh, no, Jonas is on vacation. I checked the holiday calendar. But sometimes one tool gets missed. Like someone doesn't mention it in and out, so we look at the calendar.
How do you coach people to best practices?
We haven't been tried. How do you coach people onboarding to a remote team? Yeah. We find that pairing people together because they have an information overload of new documents. And we haven't been the best because we're a growing team. And sometimes when we have a new person come on, we have like a first aid checklist, right? Here's where you find this, here's where you find that, here's where you find that. Well, when you get to week 3, you don't remember what you did with those checklists, right? So again, having that buddy to reach out to and a link to go and refer back to.
So how do you get across good habits? What habits? Is there a process for that, or you rely on people figuring out themselves?
We still rely on people figuring out themselves, and the big thing of that is to have someone who's potentially already worked remote before, because we do find that people, if they haven't worked remote before, it is a bit of a challenge. If you are going to take on that, that like bringing someone on, it's really important to have them check in and check out. And like kind of micromanage them for the first couple of weeks. Is like, how are you doing? Are you taking coffee breaks? Do you feel like you're going outside enough? How are you, like checking in on almost like an emotional level more than on a work level. We do have some people that have never worked remote before, and they do a fantastic job. The first thing they do is work too much. They're usually not very non-productive. I'm usually like, okay, I see you online. It's not healthy. We need to, So we are hiring, of course. Everyone's hiring. Our page is canopystudios.com/careers. If you know anybody that wants to work remote, or if you have any other questions, I have a booth here. I'm one of the lead organizers of the Bay Area Drupal Camp, so I really appreciate everybody coming to this event and making all the magic happen. I think I'm definitely over time now, but yeah, happy to answer more questions. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Google me, I'm pretty much
You're
like
a good
Anna,
automated
Google, I
computer
come on almost every
remote
website
control changer.
in there, or Treehouse. But on my
It's a lot more
slideshare,
personable
this presentation
and much more
often,
handsome
so if
than
you
the
wanna check them out,
remote one.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks,
Shameless
everyone.
flattery will get you everywhere.
Everywhere, right?